Okay, if you're watching the Malcolm Tent Facebook page right now, or are watching my YouTube channel sometime in the indeterminate future, you're not going to know that this is really take two. But for those of us suffering through Facebook, Mevo, Internet Jive in the real world in real time, this is take two. This is me waving a Volkswagen hubcap in front of the camera for the first and probably only time. And it is merely a placeholder for me, Malcolm Tent, and you guessed it, this week's episode of Tent Talks Tunes. What a struggle. What a struggle. It is really something. If it's not technical failures, it's a human failure. But you know what? I managed to get on the air just about every single week, 7 o'clock p.m., on my Facebook page to do Tent Talks Tunes for you people, right here, right now, in the real, in the raw, live, and or archived forever on my YouTube channel. So yeah, once again, I'm going to lean over and look at my monitor and make sure I'm going out on my Facebook page and not the Antiseen page like I was a minute ago. And yeah, the comments are coming in and the people are talking. And yes, I know, it's on the Antiseen Facebook page. Sorry, guys. I rely on guys like Alan Versapellis to keep me honest and internet savvy. Maybe Hillary Clinton was right. Maybe it really does take a village. It's the kind of Marshall McLuhan-esque village that nobody would have dreamed could even exist 20 years ago. But here we are, linked by the incredible wonders of live streaming technology, as does happen every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on my Facebook page, and archived forever on YouTube and my Facebook page. Whew, well, let me tell you, folks, it's been a long, hard, eventful, and ultimately rewarding 167 hours since I last signed in for you guys. The Trash American Style final revival hath come and gone. It was a ranting, raving, raging success. Tons of people came out, both a lot of old heads and some fresh new blood. I had former employees come by for a visit. Plenty of old customers, quite a few of whom brought their kids, so their kids could have at least one experience of Trash American Style before I pack up the Quonset hut and amble on off down towards south of the Mason-Dixon line. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. It was great seeing all the oldies, but I've got a special kick, as I always do, out of meeting the newbies. And before I talk about the newbies, I'm going to see that I've got some focus problems. So I'm going to try this low-tech, tried-and-true method of fixing focus, as taught to me by professional photographer friends. Let's see if that fixed it. It looks like that might have fixed it. I'll tell you guys, it's always an adventure around here, I swear. But anyway, yes, the old blood was fine, but meeting the newbies was always especially gratifying. The new up-and-coming generation of kids who are going to carry the cultural torch for us. And I'm going to use profanity now. This thing is reducing me to using profanity. The fucking thing is still out of focus. So we're going to move this back and see if it doesn't decide to get in focus. Got to reiterate, you guys are so fortunate to experience this live while I go on. Now, I can't tell if it's out of focus or if I'm just broadcasting on a low resolution bitrate or some jive-ass nonsense like that. You just never know. Greg says it looks good. Okay, Greg Schmidt, my partner in crime at the Danbury Record and CD Expo, is tuned in. He says it looks fine. If it looks good to him, looks good to me. Eric Johnson says that I am looking crystal clear to him. So we've got not one, but two. Chrissy Walker, a.k.a. Pissy Chrissy, from Hickory, North Carolina, providing the crucial third vote, saying that I look good. So at any rate, yeah, the newbies, the new kids coming in, you know, the new kids on the block. People who were too young to have visited the original Trash American Style, who just, I don't know, randomly saw the ad I placed on the estate sales website, or just saw it on a random Facebook feed somewhere or whatever, and came by to check it out. And I'll tell you, my favorite group of people to come by the sale, and this does not denigrate or detract from anybody who came by, because everybody who came by was 24 karat gold. But the one that just sort of touched my deep frozen heart especially were three women who walked in together. It was Grandma, Mom, and the daughter. And Grandma and Mom were just completely, utterly normal suburban Connecticut women. I mean, normal. Very friendly, very nice. We got to talking. The daughter, who had to have been in her early teens somewhere, if I recall correctly, was clad all in black, had black hair, and perked up at the sound of the music that I was playing in the background on the Trash American Style hi-fi. And she wanted to know who it was. And I said, oh, well, that's a live recording that I made almost exactly 1 year ago today of Profanatica. And she just totally perked up and was like, oh, Profanatica, I know them. And the mom said, see, there are people out there like you who like the same kind of music that you do. And it turns out that she was a very young black metal fan in the making, and loved hearing the Profanatica. And we ended up hanging out with all three of them, Mom and Grandma, talking about how she always wanted to have like stuffed animals, but they were bats and spiders and stuff like that. And how she always wanted to have like heavy metal stickers and patches in her Easter egg, in her Easter basket. And she ended up buying a Profanatica record, and Mom and Grandma were just wonderful, friendly people. And it was great. We had 3 generations of people hanging out at Trash American Style, every one of them from a different cultural reference point, but we're all just having fun. And that, to be truthful, is what makes me a little bit wistful when I think about the days of brick and mortar, because scenes like that were very common when we did Trash American Style. You know, it was always cross-cultural. We didn't care anything about what music you liked, or, you know, how you dressed or how you looked, provided, you know, just as long as you were sincere and you really loved what you did, that was great. And some parents would sit out in the car and wait patiently for the kids to come out. Sometimes they would come in with the kids, and we'd end up talking. Sometimes it was the parents coming in, dragging the kids along. And I'd be hanging out with the old folks talking about music, and the kids would sort of be rolling their eyes, just waiting for a chance to get out of there and go to the mall. But we almost always connected with everybody on one level or another. And it was so much fun. And doing the sale for 3 solid days up here in my home was also so much fun. So I heist my jug of Danbury Tap to all of you people who came out and contributed to the event. It was way fun, way successful, and joyous. Extra special double credit and brownie points go to Chrissy Walker, aka Pissy Chrissy, who flew up all the way from the Hickory International Airport and landed at the Danbury Interdimensional Airport to be cashier for all 3 days of the Trash American Style Final Revival. Chrissy, you performed above and beyond the call of duty. Everybody loved you, maybe except for one person. But hey, you had a 99.9% batting average right there. And in the major leagues, that translates into a multi-million-dollar contract. So Chrissy, you're a multi-million-dollar cashier as far as I and anybody who matters is concerned about your performance. So thank you so much for that. And somebody even bought a Pissy Chrissy CD. So What's not to love about that? So yeah, in spite of all of our best efforts, I've still got a bunch of stuff left. And I've just started to pack my boxes yesterday because next step is to call the moving company and start getting this stuff out of here. And then after that, the next step is to call the real estate agent and get this place listed. So it's really getting crucial. But I figure, you know, the things I have don't do anybody any good just sitting in boxes packed away in a storage space. So I'm going to risk walking the thin line of commercial overkill. And over the next few days, I'm going to be making a lot of posts about things that I have left over from the sale that I would like to sell to people who will give them good homes and will appreciate them. And I know that there are more matches to be made. So what I'm doing right now is sort of my own version of a home shopper network. I'm going to do a lot of show and tell of some of the really cool items that somehow did not sell over 3 days, you know? I mean, you can't sell everything. You can certainly try, but not everybody's going to want everything. So we're going to focus on some of the stuff that's still sitting here. And maybe you guys would like to have some of this stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's check the comments here. Greg Crawford says, everyone should check out the Pissy Chrissy album. It's great. Greg, you are completely correct. Chrissy wrote the lyrics and does the vocals. I wrote a lot of the music, and I love the way it came out. Absolutely love it. John Adams says, I loved that store. Kept him happy when he lived in Connecticut. Thank you, John Adam. Much appreciated. You would come in and haunt the place quite a bit, but you always had good taste. And Pissy Chrissy herself says that she enjoyed all of the trashies. Yes. Good times for everybody. So I'm going to do some retail style show and tell, but first, let's do a real quick check of the bulletin board in the mailbox. The bulletin board is fairly empty these days. There ain't much going on right now because I'm kind of, you know, I'm moving away. So I'm focusing on the next Danbury Record and CD Expo, which is going to be November 23rd at the VFW Hall in downtown Danbury. I co-promote it. I fully intend to be back in town to vend and co-promote this thing in person. That is, if the fates are willing. But that's what I'm banking on. Check it out, guys. A room full of awesome record dealers, myself included. And, of course, we do have the almighty Antiseen, who are a full 50% of the reason why I'm moving to North Carolina. We are playing September 1st at the Beer Olympics in Hotlanta, GA. Yes, Atlanta, Georgia. We are co-headlining day number 3 with our fellow TKO recording artists, the Anti-Heroes, in a completely slam-bang, raucous rock and roll undercard, which will be guaranteed to leave you in a cold sweat. So September 1st, do whatever it takes to get down there, whether you need to fly in a plane, ride on a camel, hop on your scooter, push yourself along on the skateboard, start walking. You could probably make it to Atlanta if you start walking right now by September 1st. Because it's going to be a good one. We have a specially selected set list for this one, and it is guaranteed to raise a little heck. Oh, yeah. What else has come in the mail? Well, this didn't really arrive in the mail, but I would be remiss in my duties unless I reminded everybody that the Antiseen I Hate God split cassette is out. On sale now and practically flying off the shelves. Very popular release. It was recorded live in 2019 on my first ever run with Antiseen before I was even officially a full-time member. This has excerpts from my 4th ever gig with them. Recorded live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, as was the great I Hate God, who, by the way, are playing in Waterbury, Connecticut on the 22nd of August. And apparently there's a new venue in Waterbury, and they're booking some really good shows. So I intend to be there. It is my full plan and intention to be in Waterbury on August 22nd to check out our pals I Hate God. Very excited about that. This did arrive yesterday in the mail. I was very happy. You're not going to believe it, but we're already... I haven't sold but maybe 1 or 2 copies of this, and I'm already got the second edition of the G.G. Allin and the Disappointments Live at SUNY Purchase CD DVD. Now, this is the second version. We'll do a little bit of an A-B comparison here. You can see the first version is here, and the front cover art is slightly different from the second version. I did not like the proportions on the first version, so I redid it and made the second. I made GG bigger and the text smaller, which I thought was it just worked better. First edition is numbered from 1 to 100. Second edition is not numbered at all. First edition is not sealed. Second edition is sealed. Yes, you guessed it, there's 100, I think 108 technically of the first edition. The second edition is going to be an unlimited edition with an unlimited supply. I have not prepared myself yet to list these on Discogs or eBay or Bandcamp, but it will be happening soon. Very, very soon. G.G. Allin and the Disappointments Live at SUNY Purchase CD DVD set. Very exciting. That came in the mail. And I also, of course, got one of these boxes here. Oh, yes, a box. If it's shaped like an album, about the size and thickness of an album, and comes in a full-fledged album mailer, it must be an album. This is from my pal Jason in Texas. Jason knows how to make an old codger happy, and he warned me this was going to happen. So we are doing a live on Tent Talks Tunes unboxing of this box. Mind you, there's the mailing address, Malcolm Tent, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut. This mailing address is still in effect and will be in effect for the foreseeable future. Even once I'm relocated to North Carolina, my mail will be forwarded. So don't be shy. Send anything and everything that you want to me, provided it's not stupid, to Malcolm Tent, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut, 06470. So what did my pal Jason send me? Well, let's get the 1/4 mile box cutter and very gently, gingerly, carefully open the box and see what's in it. You can tell I've done this before. Look at the savoir-faire with which I wield the box cutter. Oh, yeah. We open the box. Sight unseen, sound unheard. We peel open the flaps. We remove the materials. Jason, I commend you on your packing. Sure enough done good. And here it is, something that's very simple, very effective. Well, right off the bat, I see a Heaven's Gate trading card. That makes me deliriously happy. Yes, that is cool. That is very cool. And amongst the bubble wrap and the cardboard box stiffeners, oh, I wasn't expecting this, but all I had to do was see the RSO label. And yeah, we knew. If it's on RSO and it's addressed to me, it can't be anything other than a 45 RPM single of Disco Duck. Yes, Disco Duck. The first record I ever bought with my own money. 99 cents plus tax, $1.04 at the Treasury Department Store in Hialeah, Florida. The cashier laughed at me, but I did not GAF. I was a man on a mission, a boy with a record player, and I loved this song. As heard regularly on Y100 FM in Miami, Disco Duck by Rick Deese and his cast of idiots. And going from the sublime to the even more sublime, Jason picked up a copy of the Dr. Detroit's 12-inch single by, of course, Devo. D-E-V-O from O-H-I-O. And essentially, if it says Devo on it, it's going to make me delighted. So, Jason, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the card. Thank you for the fantastic Rick Deese Disco Duck 45. I'm working on your mixtapes even as we speak. I also want to thank you for introducing me to the concept of chopped and screwed turntablism and the concept of purple drank, which is something I had no idea existed. I am an extremely Caucasian, very suburban, middle-aged to verging on elderly old dude. I'd never heard music like that before, stuff like DJ Screw and whatnot. I loved it. It was really great. The bass tones in that music are outrageous. And of course the tempos are like this. And it is unlike any other hip-hop I've ever heard. So once again, the people who I do business with, my customers, have opened my eyes to musics and cultures that I never dreamt existed. So thank you, Jason. I'm on the case. All right, so what kind of stuff is going on here? What do we have sitting on the sales floor that I think maybe you guys would be interested in before I start packing it into boxes forever? Well, you saw at the beginning, I have two original VW hubcaps. I started with 3, and somebody bought 1. Now I have 2. And of course, one might ask, well, how did you end up with 3 VW hubcaps in the first place, you old creep? Well, the answer is very simple. I was on tour doing my solo acoustic punk rock thing, which you can hear plenty of on my Bandcamp page, just saying, and you can get a pretty fair amount of it on my YouTube channel, just saying. I was on tour in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm going to talk into this because it has this really cool echo effect. Hope you guys can hear that. Echo effect. And I got there early in the day and had some time to kill, so I was driving around town and I came across this sort of independent punk rock flea market event. And a lot of cool vendors there with a lot of great stuff, including this one guy who had not 1, not 2, but 3 VW hubcaps at a reasonable price. And of course, I, being the kind of guy that I am, I just could not resist buying 3 VW hubcaps at a reasonable price. I couldn't help it. I was like the scorpion riding on the back of the frog. I just could not help myself. So I bought those 3 Volkswagen hubcaps and stuck them in a box. And the box sat unopened for probably about the better part of 10 years. Until it came time for the Trash American Style final revival. Whereupon I mounted them over my bathroom door. They looked great lined up there, 1, 2, 3 over the bathroom door. And some guy bought the one in the middle, leaving 2. So now I have 2 vintage Volkswagen hubcaps. And if you want one or both, they are for sale. $15 each before I stick them in a box for the foreseeable future. Who says that I don't have the goods? The goods. Lots of cool audio gear. Very strange, interesting, and unusual audio gear. For example, this, what is the brand name on this? This is an ICO, not like ICO, but EICO, ICO quadrasonic adapter. Back in the old days of the 70s, which I remember very clearly, if you had a quadraphonic system, but you didn't have quad records or quad tapes, or maybe your FM AM radio wasn't quad, you could hook the stereo gear up to this thing and it would create fake quad. We've all heard of fake stereo, but yes, indeed, there is such a thing as fake quad. And this little adapter makes such a thing possible. So you can see it's got all kinds of old-fashioned bare lead inputs and outputs. It's passive. It's not a powered adapter. It's a passive adapter. But if you have yourself a quad 8-track stereo, combination, receiver, turntable, tape deck thing laying around, and you want to get some of your newfangled stereo records and make them quad, well, this is exactly what you've been waiting for your entire life. Who knows, it might even work with surround sound. I don't know. It's a thrill of discovery. Twiddle the knobs and find out. But yes, the ICO Quadrasonic stereo to quad adapter. $20, it's yours. It's kind of cool because one of the things I did sell was a dual 8-track player receiver combination. It had 2 8-track players in one cabinet. It was pretty weird. And the dials looked like a submarine, like a periscope, or the dials on a strange scientific bank of instruments. I was kind of sad to see that go, but it had to be. How about splicing blocks? All you analog tape heads out there? We got splicing blocks designed for cassette and reel-to-reel. We also have professional splicing blocks designed exclusively for reel-to-reel. Cut some tapes, guys. You can do it with these genuine splicing blocks. I got 2 big 1/4-inch ones and one that is adaptable for 1/4-inch and cassette size. Still brand new, sealed in the original Radio Shack packaging. Tell me that ain't cool. My pal Sean Mosher drove all the way across the state. He's a regular viewer of Tent Talks Tunes, and he purchased a micro cassette cleaning kit that was still in the package. That was cool. Leave it to Sean and his love of arcane formats to zero in on that. Sean, I hope that you are indeed cleaning your micro cassette recorder with that kit. But yeah, splicing blocks. For any of you analog freaks out there, you can edit tape to your heart's content with these. $15 a throw. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Speaking of 70s equipment, Greg Crawford, you might like this. How about in its box, complete, the Volley 6 video game system. Oh yeah, it's got everything. It's got both of the shooters, it's got the console, it's got the paddles. It has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 6 very exciting video games. I have not hooked it up to try it out, but my luck with these things has been very good. They typically tend to work. And even if it doesn't work, the box is worth the price of admission alone. I was very, very surprised that nobody bought the Volley 6. Really surprised by that. So it's here. If anybody wants it, I want to sell it. I don't want to stick it in a box and have it just sit there for another 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I want it to go to somebody who's going to play it on their old-fashioned television set. Volley 6, intact in the box. $45. Now, normally that would be my cue to bust out the Ronco record vacs. I was waving around a couple of Ronco record vacs last week, and my main man Brian Russell saw them and said, I want 2. He purchased them, and much to my delight, said that they worked beautifully. They were still sealed in the original boxes, and he said that they were intact, fully functional. They removed the static from his records, so they worked. And I still have 2 Ronco record vacs, sealed originals, available. I had a full case of a dozen. 10 of them are gone. We are down to the last 2. So if you want a fully functional, apparently fully functional, factory sealed original Ronco record vacuum, talk to me, because I'm here to hook you up with the record vac that you want. What other kind of great stuff, man? I had so many Casio, Yamaha, Realistic, and other brand keyboards. I was delighted to see how much people loved the keyboards. I had people buying multiples of them, but I still got a whole bunch left. Including this very odd one, the Kawaii MS30. I mean, look at the graphics on that. Is that cheesy? Is that 80s? Yes, it is. That's why we love it. And tested and working. Tested and working. How about the Casio SA39? I have used Casio many times on stage. I've used the SA39, the SA38, the PT01, any number of Casio keyboards on stage and in the recording studio. It seems like every time that I plug one of these things in to test it and see if it works, I end up writing a song of some sort. And I end up sending those songs to Pissy Chrissy, who puts lyrics on them, and what do you know? The makings for the next Pissy Chrissy album are firmly in place. And in a lot of ways, you can thank and or blame these wonderful, cheap Casio and Casio-style keyboards for that. So these are just two of the ones I have available. I'll be posting photos and descriptions of all the others. But man, if you want to get your music on and you want to do it in a really cheap and really unique way, I got the keyboards that you want and that you need. These things are so much fun. I love them. Love them. Casio and Casio style keyboards sound great on their own. They sound even better when you run them through effects pedals. Yes, I am a full-time practicing and playing musician, so I'm always on the lookout for pedals, and as happens, one tends to end up with lots of extras. These are merely two of the extra pedals I've come across over the eons, and it's kind of the same deal. I sold several pedals over the course of the Trash American Style Final Revival, but I still got some left, including this great Ibanez fuzz unit and this really cool XXL bass overdrive unit. As with everything else, they're all tested, they're all working, and they will definitely annoy your cat. And I can speak with authority on that. Harry the cat, the long-suffering Harry the cat, whenever he sees me bust one of these things out, he runs out of the room. Poor guy. Yep, he just splits, gets as far away from the noise pedals and the bass guitars and the amps as he can. But you know what? I'm the boss of this house. I am the alpha hairless monkey. So I'll do whatever I want with whatever pedals I want. They're all tested. They're all working. I'll be posting pictures and descriptions of these too. Love pedals. Greg Crawford says he might need that overdrive. You know, Greg Crawford, I think you're right. I think you are completely correct. You might need this overdrive. You just might. Why am I getting rid of it? Because I already have several overdrives and distortion pedals. I got several. I don't need them all. I got too many. I got to slim down. So my excess is the cause of my large S, which can result in, you guessed it, excess for you. Talk to me, baby. Talk to me. We just paid tribute to the wonders of analog tape. How about this? The original, early version of digital DAT tape. DAT tape. Not like disc tape or DAT tape, but digital audio tape. Somehow on my travels I came up with a full box of these things. A box of 10, 9 of them sealed. And one very young fellow bought a couple of them. I was surprised by that. And you know, the youth are where it's at, man. The youthful energy and the youthful ideas and the youthful excitement and enthusiasm is so where it's at. God bless all the enthusiastic old people. But per capita, pound for pound, note for note, measure for measure, the youngsters just have that enthusiasm and that excitement in spades. So it was a really young fellow who bought a couple of DAT tapes, and I was really excited by that. So I had a full box. Now I'm down to 8. You can't splice these with a splicing block, but you can pop them into a DAT recorder if you're one of those types. You want DAT tapes? Talk to me. Talk to me. Don't like DATs? About cassettes. Cassettes. Live cassettes. Yes, live cassettes. I think I have probably about 12 or 13 boxes this size of live cassettes. All of which date back to my tape trading days. I started trading tapes in earnest around 1986, maybe 87. And here I am again, being the old guy, saying the phrase, you know, before there was the internet. You've heard that phrase before, right? Well, you know, there wasn't an internet back then. You know, pre-internet. But it's true. It was a whole different world before the internet. If you were a guy like me who was really excited about live recordings, you really had to go out and chase the stuff down. You had to know somebody who knew somebody. You had to network. You had to read magazine ads placed in the back of Trouser Press or Maximum Rock and Roll or Flipside. Sometimes even Cream or Rolling Stone would have ads from people who sold special cassettes. And you'd send away for a catalog. And if you had to pay money for a hot live recording, you paid money for it. If you could trade for it, you would trade for it. You couldn't just go onto YouTube and look these things up. It just wasn't possible. You had to do your legwork, and you had to know where to look to get live recordings of your favorite bands. And so whenever something came my way that was even remotely interesting, I would grab it. Because you never knew when you might see a particular recording ever again. It was really catch as catch can. Especially good high-quality recordings of bands. Especially in the punk rock and new wave arenas. So I amassed many cassettes. And as the years have gone by, I just ended up realizing that I only listen to some of them regularly. There are others I have never listened to until, since the day I got them. For example, here's one. Naked Raygun. 2 live shows by Naked Raygun. I got these from a friend of mine in Belgium. I don't remember the guy's name, but I recognize the European style of handwriting anywhere. I hope you guys can see that. But I actually traded this guy in Belgium for 2 live Naked Raygun shows. And I played them. By the looks of it, I played all the way through side A. And then for one reason or another, never got around to playing side B. And the tape has remained that way since the day I got it. So if I only played half of it, and in the last 30 whatever years never played the second half, I guess I don't need it. So here's a Naked Raygun live tape. What else is in here in this one box? 1 out of like 13 boxes. Grateful Dead, Bob Marley, Infest, Tom Waits, Janis Joplin, Sunny Day Real Estate, The Jerky Boys, Joy Division, Primus, Mike Watt, the Rova Saxophone Quartet, the Runaways, Ducks Deluxe, the Animals, Motley Crue, Van Morrison, P-Funk, Blondie, The Birthday Party, Faster Pussycat, the Eagles. I don't even know how I got some of these things. Earth, Bastro, Black Francis, Split Enz, Silverhead, John Coltrane, My Bloody Valentine, Lou Reed, Nirvana, David Bowie, Mucky Pup, Sonic Youth, The Verve, more Grateful Dead, more Grateful Dead, more Grateful Dead, more Grateful Dead. And that's just one box. That's just one box. And actually, I do know how I got some of these weird things. Like, I have no interest at all in the Animals or Van Morrison. But back in the day of brick and mortar, people would trade things in. Somebody would come in with their own personal live tape collection and just want to get rid of it. So, you know, it was my job to buy it. So I'd buy it, and I'd go through it and, you know, listen to a couple things here and there, sample this, sample that. Keep all the good ones, and anything that was like really lousy sound quality or recorded on a shite blank, I'd put in our famous free box. So just by dint of the numbers, I ended up with literally hundreds of these things. Hundreds of them. If you count the Grateful Dead and Fish tapes, probably thousands. It's time for them to go. It is time for them to go. I have not listened to this Blondie tape ever. I say that, well, I shouldn't say ever. I know I listened to at least a part of it. I just don't like Blondie, you know? But that's the way it was back in the day. It's Blondie with Robert Fripp on guitar, a 10 out of 10 FM broadcast recording, and I just loved the idea of Robert Fripp playing with Blondie. And I love the idea that it was a perfect FM broadcast. So just because of those circumstances, I made the trade and got it. Played it for a little while and realized that Robert Fripp, notwithstanding, I just don't like Blondie that much. So I put the tape in the case, closed the case, put it in the box. And there it sat. Kind of the same deal with this other Blondie tape. Like, it's a very early live recording of Blondie from Max's Kansas City in 1976. I was just really fascinated by the historical provenance of this thing. You know, anything from 1976, the OG era of New York City punk rock. I was keenly interested in that. And I was listening to it and hoping that, well, maybe it might be like a more punk rock or aggressive version of Blondie that I could sink my teeth into. Unfortunately, it was not. It sounded just like Blondie, only earlier than Blondie, you know? And I think it's got a couple of unreleased tracks on it. Not too sure. They do a version of Moonlight Drive by The Doors. Yeah, that's kind of cool. But it's just nothing I'm ever going to listen to. So, back in the box it went. I really don't want to schlep all these boxes of cassettes with me to North Carolina. So, if you ever wanted to go OG live cassette, I'm selling these things cheap, cheap, cheap. Most of them are $1 each. Some of them are maybe $2 or $3 because they're kind of, you know, a little bit more special. But by and large, we're looking at $1 each. And if you want me to put together a care pack for you, let's say you want 20 New Wave tapes, or 20 Grateful Dead tapes, or 20 classic rock tapes, I'll do it for you. I will create a special grab bag for you based on genre. Let's say you want all Grateful Dead tapes. No problem. You got it. You just tell me how many. And I will hook you up. I will hook a brother up. Infest. You want hardcore tapes? I got some hardcore tapes. I got them. Same thing applies to video. Oh my God. Look at this one random stack of live videos. So many of them. This is just one stack I plucked off the shelf. I don't know if you guys can read any of that. I kind of doubt it. Look at the artists represented. We got, what do you got here? Paul McCartney, Led Zeppelin, L7, The Dwarves, Black Flag, Misfits, Yola Tango, more Paul McCartney, Kansas, more Misfits. And that is just one absolutely random stack off of one random shelf, which is a sampling from the same deal, probably 15 or 20 random boxes of these things I have. A lot of them personally curated and selected by myself. A lot of them just random acquisitions over the years. I'm doing the same thing. I'm blowing them out for $1, maybe $2 or $3 each. But the overwhelming majority of them are $1 each. Tell me what you want. You want some Paul McCartney? I'll get you a stack of Paul McCartney videos. That's okay. For some reason, and I'm not proud of this, Not happy about it. It's not a flag that I like to fly. But as I mentioned earlier, just through the sheer dint of acquisition, because, you know, I am in the business to acquire, just by the very nature of acquisition, I have more Moody Blues live tapes than I ever dreamed existed. And a pretty fair stack of Eric Clapton videos as well. Please tell me you want those. It's bad for my image to have them around. Very bad. Eric Johnson, you say you're interested in the Dwarves and L7? Talk to me. Talk to me. I guarantee you, sir, the price is right. They're sitting right here. This one tape is a compilation. You can't break these things. Where'd it go? Well, it's okay. I got more where that came from. Compilation tape. This is from ABC's In Concert back in the day with L7, Sonic Youth, Mudhoney. With the original commercials. How cool is that? And one that I just flung across the room and totally disappeared. Ah, there it is. Camouflaged by the clutter. This one here is L7 Live at the Marquee in New York City, June 18th, 92. The Dwarves Live at the Kennel Club in Frisco, March 17th, 92. And the Black Flag TV Party Early Years compilation. All on one video. How's that for variety and service? 2 hours, baby. 2 hours. According to my notes, the L7 and the Dwarves look like they're about second generation from the master, which means they're pretty darn good. Eric, baby, talk to me. Just talk to me. Make like Ace Frehley and talk to me. I could go on longer, but I'm not. I think Yiz got the basic idea. I will be posting a lot over the next few days because I'm still researching moving companies and I don't know really what shape or form that's going to take. So, generally speaking, the less I have to pack, the happier I am. And the more of these that get into your hands and are actually loved, liked, and listened to or watched, the happier I am. And the more $1 bills I get to stuff in my pocket, instead of schlepping these things all over the place, the happier I am. So as you can see, it all hinges on my personal happiness. Everything hinges on my personal happiness. So why don't we all get together, make like the Partridge Family, and make me happy? And, as a lovely side effect, make you happy too, because you're going to get some good stuff. Good stuff for everybody. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. I'm out of here, guys. I've said my piece. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who came to the Trash American Style final revival. It was one whale of a goodbye party. And bittersweet for sure. But as the great Jackie Gleason said, how sweet it is. And how sweet it was. And regarding my new life in North Carolina, how sweet it will be. So keep an eye on the Facebook. Keep an eye on reality. And I personally do intend to be back in about 167 hours' time. So until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.